Distributed License Management, Part 2. The structure created by installation is standard. DLM 4.0 provides a consistent base environment across all supported platforms. A Linux administrator can use the same methodology for configuring a Windows client or server as would be used on a Unix client server. There are minor differences in files that are present in the base folders across the platforms. The default folder for Windows is C program files, common files, software. After installation of DLM, the license service can be started either manually or automatically during configuration. To start the service manually on Windows, go to the installation folder and double-click the file cpwr.exe. A dialog box will appear asking whether you wish to install and start the service. Two tools have been provided by DLM to assist in configuring the license client: the License Administration Utility and the License Administration Utility command line version. The experienced user may choose to edit the license environment manually. Following installation of the DLM, the License Administration Utility can be started from Programs CompuWare License Administration Utility. Use the Add button to include a license file as shown before. Remember that the fully qualified path must be used. All these actions will modify the config.xml file stored by default on Windows in the C Documents and Settings allusers.compware folder. Identification using the host ID is required for the server on which the license manager is installed, on which a Uniface application server, the userver process, runs. The host ID must be communicated to CompuWare when ordering a license. It is strongly recommended to carry out a manual verification of the host ID to prevent misunderstandings. cpwrinfo.exe returns the host ID and can be used for manual verification and is independent of the platform. In the License Administration Utility, there is an option Show System Information. The license service reaches for license files in two locations: the license repository and the license services config.xml file. The modification of either does not require the license service to be restarted. Licenses defined in the configuration file are loaded in the order that they are defined, and licenses that exist in the repository are loaded based on the modification dates on the files, the newest loaded first. The license manager produces a log file in the logging directory, which is located in the root directory of the license service. The log file contains entries for license requests, license denials and license timeouts, borrow transactions, security errors and service termination causes. A typical log entry follows a certain format, referring to the date and time, the action method, a reference to the user, an application, a requested count and a pull ID. All transmissions between DLM license services and their clients are digitally signed to prevent malicious attacks, that is, transmissions of data designed to overwhelm a DLM license service. An administrator can instruct the service to close and eventually block connections from sources that send messages that it does not recognize. Network security is activated by adding a net security tag to the license services configuration file. There are two forms of security that can be activated by adding the net security tag to the license services configuration file. Under method 1, the service is instructed to keep track of the IP addresses and the number of attempts of the system that have sent it invalid transmissions. By default, only 3 erroneous attempts are allowed before all connections from an identified system are blocked. The administrator can control the number of allowable erroneous transmissions. Under method 2, the administrator identifies to the license service which systems it is authorized to talk to. Connections from systems not identified in the list are immediately closed. Systems logged as sending unreadable messages are logged in the cpwr_security.txt file located in the config directory of the root directory of the license service. An administrator can remove a system that the license service has blocked by deleting the system reference from the cpwr_security.txt file and restarting the license service. When a licensed client places a request to a licensed server, if the client fails to receive a response within an allotted period of time, the connection between the client and the server will time out. A connection timeout can occur on slow networks, on networks with a lot of activity, but the licensed server is busy handling other requests. Longer timeouts ensure connectivity even on slow networks. However, configurations that require longer connection time can result in poor performance. Similarly, the parameter can be set on the license server configuration that if the server fails to receive a response from the client within a period of time, the connection will time out. The default timeout setting for DLM clients and servers is 10 seconds. When modifying connection timeout, it is important to maintain consistency between DLM clients and their supporting license services. License borrowing allows an end user to commute a license token for a specified period of time. That is, the user can check out a license and retain it, disconnected from the license server for a set period. First come, first serve is a license model that limits the number of physical users that have access to a license key. Only concurrent license keys can have a FCFS tag. DLM4 provides two methods for managing users: the user-managed or license pools. User-managed allows administrators to control the users or workstations that have access to a particular license key. For license pools, we say that every concurrent key has a license pool. The license pool size is dependent on the count field of the license key. Administrators can subdivide a license pool into smaller pools, allowing them to control the distributions of license tokens across the end user groups. A grace period allows a licensed client to continue using a licensed product for up to 72 hours if connectivity is broken between the client and its server. Grace is renewed with each successful license request. Redundancy is a form of grace. Redundant keys contain a tag policy ID. Redundancy provides quality of state by eliminating a single point of failure. It involves the deployment of multiple license servers to support a single license source. In the event of failure of one or more license servers, the remaining subset of servers are able to maintain a temporary state of license support until the initial state is restored.